Still here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your strength training business and fueling your passion for high intensity strength training. I'm joined by $1 Million Trainer Pete Cerqua, and this is episode 2 of the Garage Gym series: how to build a successful strength training business in your garage. Last time we spoke about setup. We spoke about, did we speak about pricing? I think we spoke about pricing.
I
I want
don't
to say
think
we
we
did.
spoke about pricing.
Did we not?
We can get into
Okay.
that.
Okay. We spoke about, how to find your market. Who's this good for? Who's not for? How to qualify yourself in or out of this opportunity. Where do you start? Zoning and permits. We talked about different setups. We call it the garage gym to keep it simple, but obviously this could be any kind of home-based facility. And much of what we're talking about transfers to the studio version also. We talked about much more than that, but just mostly setup was the focus. So today, we're going to talk a little bit more about setup in terms of atmosphere and branding. Then we're going to get into equipment, which I know Pete is super excited about. And then we'll touch on insurance, skills, and certifications as well. So super excited about this, Pete, and thanks for coming back. And I really appreciate your time doing this. It's a lot of fun.
It's my pleasure. I'd like to go back, circle back on something that you brought up, and I gave it some thought after our call, and that was ADA compliance.
Oh, yeah.
So American Disabilities Association, are you ADA compliant? Are you accessible for wheelchair access and things like that? And the answer for me was, we really didn't go into details on this. I don't believe that a person, especially in a private facility or a home-based business, has to be ADA compliant. I was not ADA compliant in my private gym in New York City on the 4th floor of a doorman building. Of course, we had elevator access, which would make us partially ADA compliant, but ADA compliant, at least in the United States, would be 36-inch doorways to accommodate wheelchairs. And then the bathrooms have to be situated specially. If there's counter access, the wheelchair has to be able to get up to the counter and see over it and get right up to it. So there's a few different things. I was not ADA compliant. Could I have been? Yes. That's not my market, and that's not what I was going after. This is a private business, a private facility. I pick and choose my clients. It's not a public gym. So it's a private studio. And I didn't even entertain the notion of that was my clientele. I had a very specific clientele that I was going after, and that's who I wanted to cater to.
If someone came to you with, even though you weren't designed to cater for them necessarily, if someone came to you with a disability, or wasn't completely ambulatory, would you still work with them anyway, or how did that work? Or were you just like, hey, you know what, I'm not, we're not designed to give you a service that you need? How did you address that?
Yeah, I was not designed to give this. So
Okay.
getting somebody who is not ambulatory out of a wheelchair into the Med-X low back or the Med-X leg press, or there's maybe 1 or 2 machines or 3 or 4 exercises that I can come up with that person. I'm really not delivering an excellent service for that person. So I never got a referral ever. And I think if I was positioned so I could accept that kind of client, I probably would have gotten referrals, but I didn't. I wasn't looking for that type of client. I knew I couldn't serve them to the best of my ability, so I just didn't.
There are some people in our space who do work with people with some severe disabilities. And I know these people have a lot of skills. Obviously, they tend to be, they would usually have more qualifications, like maybe a physical therapy background, maybe something else. Do you have any thoughts about that? Because obviously there's people tuning into this that maybe they have a strong medical background where they can work with people like that. How do you think about that?
Well, interestingly enough, I was on 55th Street between 3rd and Lex in Manhattan. There was a very, I don't want to say famous, but it was a very well-known physical therapy facility on the main floor on 56th Street, right around the block from me. They got many, many referrals from the local hospitals, which are high-end medical facilities in New York City. We had a little bit of a relationship in that we were both aware of each other and what we did. And when people would finish their physical therapy treatments, uh, I would get a referral occasionally. Okay, I think you want to get a little stronger. You want to go see Pete, and
Got it.
I would do the opposite. Somebody would say, "Hey, I'm going to get my new knee or my new hip. What should I do after that? Should I come right back to you? You know what? Go to the physical therapy place for 6 or 8 weeks, get cleared by them, get ambulatory, then come back to me and I'll pick up from there." So
Yeah.
I use that to my, and I think it's a great service to do that and work with somebody on that level.
Let me ask you a better question because I've seen this actually quite a lot in our space where people will try and work with people who have severe disabilities. And the cool thing about what we do is that, it's so safe, it's slow, it's really effective in improving the quality of life for everyone practically, that like we want to be able to help these people. And in a lot of cases we can. There are some instances where that it's impossible or just very difficult to work with some of these individuals. I'm being extremely broad in my language because this is a vast topic and I know little about it. So for you, when you were operating, what was the demarcation like? Where was the line? What was kind of like the minimum, like, I don't know, like, the minimum, obviously word this carefully. I don't want to offend anyone, but like the minimum, like ability or capability someone had to have, like, cause you probably had a clear, like, this is who I can work with. This is who I can't. Can you just, and we'll move on after this, but just elaborate a small bit about how you create boundaries there.
Well, this is it's a great question. And I've got some real world experience in this. So in the very beginning in 1997, when I was really putting my program together, I wanted to see what can this do? Who can this help? Uh, I had an idea of my market, but I really wanted to see what the application was. So I was really looking for anybody and everybody to try it out and see if it helped them or if it benefited. I came across a gentleman who had Parkinson's disease, and it was advanced, and he had to take medication to get his tremors down. He could go into a seizure or an episode without notice, which involved him literally freezing up. His body would just not move. He couldn't speak. He would like just stand somewhere, and I witnessed it multiple times. And you'd have to just wait. And his wife always accompanied him to everything, but you'd have to just wait for that episode to end. And um, it could take minutes. It could take 20, 30 minutes. It could be a period of time, and then you would continue or where you're at. Now, my strength training program was beneficial to him. It did help him. It did give us some information about working with this disease. But for my business model, I couldn't move a client through, every 15 minutes.
Got it.
So to build my business with more and more Parkinson's patients would have not achieved the goals that I set out for myself and for my business. Now, the opposite of that is Kevin Quinn, our good friend
About the same.
in California, who specifically seeks Parkinson's patients for strength training and boxing. And he gives them these wonderful workouts, and he is a saint, and he has built a very successful business helping specifically these individuals. So I think it really comes down to the personality of the trainer and the business model that you're developing and the client that you're going after. So for somebody like Kevin, he's in the high intensity space, wildly successful. And I just can't say enough about this guy. What a big heart he has.
He does.
I'm not that nice. I'm not that patient. I'm not that good. I want to move him through. So, but that's Lawrence. We're going to be talking about this, and we're going to bring this up again when we do the episode about finding your voice, which is going to be very interesting. Kevin found his voice, and he targeted a market that fits him very, very well, and he can service. That wouldn't be good for me.
Right, got it. And didn't you help him go from $7,000 to $40,000 per month in revenue?
I did. And you know what?
Just that small mention.
It was easy because he's so good.
Mhm.
You know, it's Can you take a Ferrari and drive it 200 miles an hour? Yes, because the car is capable of going 200 miles an hour. So I did not work with somebody who had no ability and no potential. I had the Ferrari, and he had the facility and the finances uh, and the trainers, and yeah, working with them was really a dream. It was really a pleasure, and yeah, they went to the next level very quickly.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. So, okay, yeah, another thing I just want to mention on in terms of working with the sort of Parkinson's population, Wayne Robbins as well, who has Medex Physiques in Poole in the UK, I want to say, has developed a great reputation working with those individuals as making a massive difference, and he's become the go-to sort of training facility for people with Parkinson's in his area, and it's all Medex equipment. He's extremely good trainer. He's been doing this for a while, and he really knows how to work with that population. So that's really cool to see. All right, so good stuff. So moving on, we're going to go into touch on atmosphere and branding. Again, we're obviously talking about, the home-based, the garage gym facility. So how do you think about signage in this context? Do we have signage on the house? Do we have signage on the street? Can we? Do we need it inside the property? How do you think about that?
Signage is something that now I don't want to say I'm against, but for the most part in my career, I didn't use it. So in the first studio that I opened up in the late '90s, uh, I had my name on the door, Pete Cerqua. I did not have any letters after my name, CPT, Certified Personal Trainer, or anything like that. It was Pete Cerqua. End of story. If you didn't know why you were coming to see me, you shouldn't be there. I thought it was classier. I thought that I would attract a more upscale clientele, who, didn't want to be advertising for me. They would rather give me referrals. And I thought I would build my business better. And guess what? It did. So I was really, in the lobby of the building. Again, it had my name and the floor that I was on, or the suite that we were in. It didn't say what I did. Um, I saw a lot of that, with doctors and lawyers. Of course, I did not have the credentials they have. So you would see, um, Joe Smith, Esquire. Well, you knew what he did for a living. You didn't know specifically what kind of law he was practicing, but you know where to find him and what floor and generally what he did. And then you would see Joe Smith, MD. Okay, well, that's a doctor. But you don't know which which practice they had. Was it gynecology or cardiology? So, and I just think that's classy. You should know why you're going to see your doctor, and you really don't want to advertise why you're going to see that doctor. Um, and I thought the same with my training business, my strength business. So I kept it no signs, um, and I just put my name out there, and I kept my name. I had a name for an LLC, but I didn't advertise it or use it. Like the clients knew I'm working out with Pete. That was the focus of the business. Even though, and at one point, my LLC name was Essential Exercise LLC. I
There's
just
one of
needed
those out
to,
there in high
yeah,
intensity training.
there
Dennis
are.
Rogers, I think, has that business name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
So, and we all know where the name comes from. Anybody who looks at the books, and Hutchins essential versus elective
Got it.
uh, criteria, and that's I literally on the spot. The lawyer said, "I need a name for your LLC." How's essential exercise? Not knowing that there was another one out there already because the internet was in its infant stages. But anyway, I'm not. There's no sign on your garage door. There's no sign on your front door. There should be a house number and a way for people to identify and get to you. And that's it. And guess what? We also have Google and we have GPS now right on your phone, so people can find you. They do not need a neon sign at your front lawn.
Thoughts on music in studios. I'm a fan, right? So this is a bit of a controversial debate, isn't it, in high intensity training, because the ideal exercise environment, as prescribed by Ken Hutchins, I don't think has any music because you want to be able to focus completely on the exercise and your breathing. And there are times where I'm training and I've got music in and I've got some rap or something motivational playing, and I have to stop it so I can just regulate my breathing better. And when we were running Optima, there came a point where I felt that music would have just added to the ambience and the experience. And I don't know, like there were times, especially because it was when I was there, it was, well, it still is to an extent, one-on-one and private. And I think over time we definitely would have had concurrent one-on-ones, and that would have perhaps changed how people felt in the environment. But anyway, I felt that music would have improved it, but we never rolled that out. And I'm just curious how you think about that. So we'll talk about that first. Music in studios. What do you think?
Oh, this is a great topic. So I've got some great information for you. So when we launched our high intensity program, I was working with Lou Abato at the Ultimate Training Center. He just opened up this space and pulled me in there. It was just him and I. And Lou had his way of, he was hardcore Mike Menzer. I mean, he looked like Mike Menzer. He was built like Mike Menzer, and he trained like Mike. That was Lou, and it was fun. And talk about a work animal. I mean, nobody can bang out sessions like Lou. His environment was AC/DC and Led Zeppelin, and the theme to Rocky cranked up to the point where you have to yell for your client to hear you.
I love it.
When we opened up the doors, I said, "Hey, Lou, we got to make some changes here. One is we need an aisleway, because my clients are in their 60s and 70s, and I've even got one or two of in their 80s. So and that's number one. Number two is these people walk in the door and they hear AC/DC Back in Black just blasting through the speaker. They're going to leave. I'm going to lose clients. So we had to kind of try to work around that. But that wasn't Lou's thing, man. That's the way he wanted to develop his business. So I went up and opened up my studio, and where his studio looked like a gym, it had dumbbells and a power rack, and it had some Nautilus equipment, cables, and a rubber floor. So it had a gym look. My studio, I wanted a doctor's office. I had a vision, and I knew what I wanted and what I could sell. I wanted carpeting. I wanted Med-X equipment only. I wanted painted walls, and I wanted different music. So I started out with a 50 CD changer because the iPod had not been invented yet. So this is good. It's good information. It's a good experience. So in the 50 CD changer, I started to figure how about jazz? Jazz is not offensive. It seems to be something that's open to everybody. How about Muzak? Something you'd hear in an elevator. Well, those two things didn't work out well because jazz has a lot of different flavors to it. And it could be uplifting. It could be, subduing. It wasn't quite right. So it didn't work out well. The Muzak was depressing and just, it's good. I think it was annoying. I tried to put music in that people liked, and people would come up with all different kinds of stuff. And that didn't work very, very quickly, like within weeks. I was like, okay, this is a bad idea, because a client would walk in and go into my office and change the music to something they wanted. And I'm still in the session with somebody else. I'm like, okay, that can't. Then I started working with a gentleman and his wife. This gentleman is a famous person in the opera industry. He was the manager for opera singers who you've all heard of, Luciano Pavarotti, and I can go down a great list, and conductors and orchestras. I mean, this is the guy who had his finger on the pulse. So I asked him, I said, what music would you want to hear in here? He said, well, classical music would be definitely a great way to go, but you could mess that up. I said, great, explain. He said, well, if you put Beethoven in here, you don't, that's not going to go with your training style. You want piano concertos and things that are, that nobody will notice, that people don't love or hate, that they're very neutral about, that they're okay listening to.
It's almost like white noise.
Yeah. I'm like, "Can you make some suggestions?" Yeah. And I put together probably 20, 30 hours worth of stuff. Then the iPod was invented. And I put all on, I don't know, two, three, 400 pieces that he recommended on the iPod and hit the shuffle button. And it was awesome. And it went for 15, 20 years. And everybody complimented it. Even the people that didn't like opera or, that classical music rather, uh, they would say, well, this is this is great, especially for the workout style that you do. So it worked out well.
Nice. Yeah, I really like that idea actually. I know that Discover Strength, I think they subscribed to a service that provided some kind of generic music. It's not like, so you don't mess with like copyright and things like that. It's like songs that you can play. Maybe they're, how do I say this? They're like songs you would only hear in like a retail store, if that makes sense, or
Yes.
music, something like that. I don't understand that word, but I couldn't find it. I was trying to find it there, but I couldn't find the brand. So yeah, if anyone's interested in that, just like shoot me a message or an email, Lawrence at highintensitybusiness.com if you really care that much. Okay, so great to know. What about, okay, so do you feel, with regard to music, do you feel that most people should have it? Do you think it depends? Do you think some people shouldn't have it? Like, what's your advice to those listening or watching?
This is going to come to our next episode where we talk about finding your voice, but
Got it.
I'm gonna touch on it very
We can
quickly.
park it for that if you prefer.
Yeah, Lou Abato wearing a t-shirt and shorts and a warm-up jacket and AC/DC cranking could book 100 sessions a week. I can't. So I had to do what worked best for me and my business model and my clients and the market that I was going after.
Mm.
So I think it really comes down to and remember my number one rule for success, it's not about you, it's about them. So I chose my music and my atmosphere, my carpeting and the colors of my equipment and the colors of my walls based on what I thought would please the client. Not what I liked. I like AC/DC. It's on my phone and I'll play Led Zeppelin. I'm 62 years old. But 70s rock is the best thing in the world, but it's not going to sell sessions for me. So it's not about me. I had to do what was best for the client and put me in a position to sell it.
Got it. Okay, so yeah, we'll cover that more in the future episode. So, and what about yeah, we can talk about this now. If one does have sound, what about soundproofing? Do you have any thoughts on that? How we might soundproof the home? If we're going to have music playing in our home studio, and we obviously got other family members about, what would you advise on that?
I'll give you an example of my garage. I have a 3-car garage in my home, and I epoxied the floors. The garage is this. Even if you're not set up as a gym or a business, it's usually the place that you enter your home 99% of the time, right? I don't think I'd use my front door in years. I'm always coming in and out through the garage. So I thought, for me personally, I would like my garage to look good. I also designed it so it could be converted to a studio or a private gym in the snap of my fingers. All I have to do is put the equipment in and move the cars out. So I epoxied the floor, a very neutral color with flake. It looks very classy. The walls and the ceilings are painted a beige. I think it's called sandstone color, which the name doesn't mean anything, but it'll give you an idea. It's like a beige, hinting towards yellow. I've got nice lighting in there. And where was I going with this? It's a very pleasing color and space and floor. I'm sorry, Lawrence.
It's all right. No, yeah, it's interesting all the same, but we're talking about soundproofing.
I soundproof the doors.
There you go.
Okay?
We were getting there.
And it was for insulation reasons. I just thought it would help control the temperature, hot or cold, winter and summer. Here in Pennsylvania, we have all 4 seasons. So I thought it would be great for noise. If it's raining outside, you're going to hear it. Will that be a distraction? I just thought this is a very inexpensive way. It cost me $400 to insulate with 2-inch board, insulation board. Um, and I put it up myself, and that's for 3 doors, 3 standard garage doors. It looks great. It definitely adds to the look of and the feel of the place, and it definitely changed the acoustics, which I think is, if you're going to play music or not, you want to have good acoustics. You don't want that echo or that warehouse feeling. Um, so I say, yeah, insulate. Now, you don't need insulation. I think it's just a plus.
Yeah. Got it. Let's move on to equipment, shall we?
Oh, I can't stand this subject. I don't want to talk about equipment. No, we could do 5 hours of talking about equipment. I love equipment. So what you guys should know about me personally is that I'm an equipment junkie. I like it all. I like barbells, dumbbells, all the machines. I like the different manufacturers. If I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, right? This is the joke. I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs. My sign would be 100,000 square foot warehouse where I just start buying a full circuit of everybody's. I would have every hammer strength piece ever made, every Menex piece. I've got Imagine Strength. I would buy Menex Europe. I would buy all the vintage Nautilus pieces, whether I use them or not, because I just think they're cool. Arthur made them. I want them. Um, and I would just walk into this 100,000 square foot room and stare at it for like 2 or 3 hours before I started my workout, because I just think it's the greatest thing in the world. That being said, what do you do? So for a home-based business, and we're high intensity traders, I think starting off with something Nautilus is a great way to go for a few reasons. Reason number one, it's cost effective. You can find, and doesn't matter what country you're in. I've got friends in Germany finding Nautilus pieces. I've got friends in Romania. I've got friends in Canada, plenty of friends in the United States. And I've got a dear friend who's knocking it out of the park in Australia. I'm sure I can name more countries and more people. And Lawrence, you know this for a fact. We go out looking for Nautilus Nitro or 2ST. We just came across in my group a circuit of 2ST for sale at $200 to $500 per piece in mint condition. This was not used as a business. This is somebody bought this 25 years ago for their own personal use. It's probably in a basement, and they just don't want it anymore. And it looks brand new. So for 200 to 500 a piece, you could probably get a dozen pieces. Can you imagine starting up a business for $3,000, give or take? That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it looks brand new. And it's Nautilus. I mean, where do you go wrong there? You can't.
How many pieces did you say?
I
3,000?
think it was about a dozen pieces.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And all the ones that you want. ABAD, leg extension, leg curl, leg press, rotary torso.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. And they were very neutral colors, which is important when you're shopping for used equipment. The difficulty is trying to get the colors that you want. So you should be open to having a color palette that is not broad, but yeah, a few ideas. So let's say you're looking for either black or white equipment. You could probably, if you got a few machines of each, black or white, you could probably make that work in a space without it looking ridiculous. Maybe you could alternate machines so it's black, white. Silver or gray is always a great neutral color to find, especially if it has black pads, because it just blends in and it's not a problem. One of the things I advise people on, don't decorate your space with the equipment. So when I see red or purple, I'm like, well, consider either changing the color, buy the equipment and change the color, which you can do. You can change the pads very easily. There's companies and services that will reupholster your pads. It's going to cost a few $100, but guess what? Worth it. So you can do that, and you can paint equipment. I got a great deal on a Menex arm cross. Somebody wanted to get rid of it for $500. I didn't have one in my collection. I had all new Medics. Oh, I'll take it for $500 and $500 in shipping. So for $1,000, I had this arm cross. It was white with black pads. All my equipment in my studio was brand new black on black Medics. I painted it. I got a roller. I got the paint that matched my Medics. And in one afternoon on a Saturday, I rolled it out and it's fine. It looked brand new. And it did take more than an hour and a half. You can change the color of equipment and make it look better, not worse. So you want to shop for your used equipment. You want to get a great deal. What if it's not functioning 100%? Not a problem. A little oil. I'm on a few different groups and websites I should say, where they say, you know what, pull the chains off your old Nautilus equipment, put it in a 5-gallon bucket with some oil and let it soak for a few days and it'll be as good as new. There's tips like that in certain groups on Facebook who will tell you how to recondition this piece for pennies and it's working, like brand new again. Well, great. These things are the old Nautilus pieces. They're built for 100 years. They're not going to fail you. And you can get them for hundreds of dollars. And let me just caution you, Lawrence, I want to touch on this. Michael Petrella and I talk about this almost regularly, but some of the prices on some of the used pieces have gotten out of control. I saw a used Nautilus pullover, super pullover, which has got to be a 25 or 30-year-old piece of equipment. It was reconditioned for $9,000. Is it worth $9,000? In my opinion, no. I think that's ridiculous. It's just not. I can find a super pullover for $2,500 or less easily. You just got to search a little bit more. Either way, you're going to have this piece shipped. But there are people out there who are aware that there are high intensity trainers starting businesses and we may want something vintage or something really cool looking or something Arthur Jones, and they're going to try to gouge us for that. My advice is keep shopping. You'll find what you want. It's going to take a little bit more time, but you can do it.
And if we're going Nautilus, which I do think is a good idea for this context, for the garage gym scenario, what pieces? What are we looking for? What's our startup set?
Let me just throw in quickly. Nautilus One is also a consideration. Easy to find, priced very, very well. I've seen them for $600, $700, $800 per piece. Very classy European kind of a look. And if that's your look, and we have a friend that got exactly that. Which pieces of any of the equipment? Well, the basics are a must from the start. So low back, leg press, pull, a pull and a push. So those are your first 4 pieces. Doubling up on that, those 4 pieces would be a second step, or if you're looking for 8, and then throwing in core pieces would be your next consideration. So
hang on. Double up as in 2 low back, 2 leg presses.
Oh no, lower body. So like low back and leg press. So if you want lower body next, then you're going to go for I would go for an AB and an AD.
Got it.
I would make more use out of those before I would go to leg extension, leg curl. So remember, space is a consideration. So you're not going to have 28 pieces of equipment in your garage or your basement. There's not going to be enough room. So low back leg press is a must. Those are your first 2. If you have room for 2 more lower body, I'm looking at AB and AD.
And pull push as well. Do you mean vertical or horizontal pull push?
Well, so ideally, for me, I like the pull down and the dip were my pull and my push that I used the absolute most. I had every single piece of Mannix eventually, but that's after a successful business. What do you start with? I started with a hammer strength leg press, a Nautilus low back, a generic pull down, and a chest press, a Nautilus hammer strength chest press. I upgraded very quickly. As when you're making money, you can upgrade to whatever you want. Do you have a vision of all Mannix in your place? Great. When you're doing 80 sessions a week, you'll have plenty of cash.
Do you want to comment on plates versus Selectorized for a moment?
Sure. I started out with the hammer strength leg press. I got up to 80 sessions a week very quickly. By the end of the week, I couldn't close my hand. I'm putting 400 to 600 pounds on and off that hammer strength leg press 20 times a day or 15 times a day or even 12 times a day, right? Oh my goodness. My forearms, my back, my neck, my hands were killing me by Saturday. It took me Sunday to recover. Of course, I'm a young guy in my 30s and in good shape, but Sundays were spent recovering so I can get back to work on Monday. And we all know in high intensity training, you just think about it. Would you work your forearms um, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week? No, it's just not good for you. And my body was breaking down. To put a pin in, a 2-ounce pin, that's the way to go. If you're going to do a lot of sessions. Now, if your goal is, and I know a few people, Lawrence, we've talked to a few people who said, I only want 10 or 20 sessions a week. This is a side business or a retirement business. Well, great. For 10 or 20 sessions a week, if you like a plate loaded machine and you think that would fit your program, by all means. At 40 sessions or more, it's not going to work out and something's going to break at some point. It's going to be you. So that's my plate loaded too. I love plate loaded machines. Rogers Pendulum, which is another favorite of mine, and I've owned quite a few. Awesome plate loaded machines, but I would not train 100 sessions a week on them. I wouldn't train 10 sessions a week on them. I don't want to load it.
Before we go any further, I just want to quickly thank our sponsor, Barvik GmbH. Building a successful strength training business requires top quality exercise machines and a reliable source of spare parts. Sourcing Medix machines known for their exceptional design and performance can be challenging, often leaving you dependent on the secondary market. Barvik GmbH, based in Hamburg, Germany, offers a solution. Led by Egger Barvik, who spent over 40 years working with and learning about Nautilus and Medix machines, and also completed a 3.5-year apprenticeship at Mercedes, mastering quality engineering, Barvik produces German-engineered Medix machines in India with thoughtful enhancements over their US counterparts. Barvik machines are trusted by happy customers all over the world, including members of the high-intensity business community. They're even being supplied in large volumes to major fitness brands like Keiser Training. For example, my former business partner and current HIB member Sean purchased Medix equipment from Barvik for his studio here in Galway, Ireland, and both he and his clients couldn't be happier. From popular pieces like the leg press, pullover, and bicep curl to rarer gems like the super forearm and tibialis, Barvik offers a wide selection of 35 Medix models built higher for easy movement of a pallet jack, zinc-plated weight plates, flat steel core belts instead of carbon fiber, and adjustable 90mm rubber feet. And right now, you can get 5% off a minimum order of 6 machines, but only for the next 3 months. This offer expires October 31st, so don't wait. Visit medx.eu, tell the team what you need, and choose the machines to grow your business. That's medx.eu, medx.eu. And now, back to the episode. Awesome. Okay. So what about, we can move on to barbells or dumbbells and other tools, but do you think there's more we can say on machines? I just feel like we might have missed something there. Anything else that comes to mind?
If you're looking to have a very successful business with a lot of sessions per week, you want predominantly selectorized machine.
Okay.
If you're looking for an upscale clientele, you're going to want upscale selectorized machines. You do not want to look, if you want to be a very successful high-end, this is my opinion and in my experience. If you want to have a very, very upscale, and I was charging upwards of $125 for 15 minutes, there has to be a certain look and feel to your facility. If it looks anything like a gym, if it resembles a gym, Planet Fitness in any way, shape, or form, you're not going to be able to pull that off.
Just on the machines, I think one thing we haven't touched on too much is just thinking about, who you're going to design this business for, who your target client's going to be. And I think, there's that might change, like the priority pieces that you buy in the beginning, the priority machines. And and there are obviously different target markets we can talk about, but probably the most popular one in our industry is older females, right? Older, busy, educated, high income females, um, who seem to be one of the more popular markets in our space, seem to really enjoy and value what we do. And I think with that particular market, you're going to want to make sure you do have more breadth in terms of like lower body movements, right? Because just in my experience, when the workouts were too top heavy, too upper body focused, and you just had like a leg press, like there was some lacking there, and that's where your recommendations around abduction, adduction, leg curl, leg extension, those types of things are more important.
Leg extension and leg curl, I never do with my female clients. I own the MenX leg, brand new, never use them, never use them.
But
I do
yeah,
not want to
right.
develop the teardrop around a knee on a lawyer making 1.5 a year who wears skirts every day. I just didn't, they don't want that look. They're not stepping on a bodybuilding stage. So there's none of that nonsense. This is, I want to be healthy and fit. And and I'm wildly successful in work. I want to be wildly successful with my health.
You still got them on the
Also,
leg press though, right?
oh, a low back AB leg press was my
See,
go-to sequence.
this is where I think I differ from maybe yourself and a lot of people in our space. I just think it wouldn't make much difference. If you're leg pressing, you're still going to recruit that part of the quadricep and build the muscle there, just as you would a leg extension for the most part. I don't think it's going to make
Not
much
at
of a
all.
difference.
If your feet are positioned high and you're at a 90-degree starting position, you're going to engage more glutes and
Mm.
hamstring a little bit more than quadriceps. If your feet are low on the plate and you're at a very deep angle, then yeah, it could be just as much quads or more than a leg extension.
I don't know,
I'm
Pete. If
actually
you
right in that.
if we I don't know if you look in the literature and we looked at the studies comparing the outcomes of people that did. I mean, I just from what I haven't poured into literature, looked at literature recently, but like when I have, I just haven't seen big differences. So I don't know if it'd make much. I think it's more perception. I think it's more like if the female client feels that doing that movement is going to build larger muscles that they don't want, or whatever, name the individual and the muscles they don't want to overdevelop, then fine. You know what I mean? More from a perception point of view than an actual like outcome point of view, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. So let
Yeah.
me ask you a question, because I know we have mutual friends who are in this in the research area, and you and I have read studies. We're nerds like that, and we're into this kind of stuff. Tell me an average study. How many individuals in an average study over how many weeks?
Well, here's the no, but they're really poor. That's
Well,
that's true. They're
give
really poor,
give
really
me a
small
number.
sample sizes. Oh,
Give me
but
any.
10, 20 people. But that's why, well, here's the thing. That's why James Steele's research is so interesting. Like the stuff he's doing with Discover Strength with huge sample sizes, that's showing that actually, James Steele has said for a long time, like when it comes to strength training, I mean, we're getting off topic a little bit, so we'll come back in a minute. All roads lead to Rome, right? Doesn't matter what protocol you do, go to failure, go just shy of failure, train 3 times a week, train once a week. Over a long enough period of time, we all kind of end up at the same place. And it's all about genetics and, the expression of our muscle mass potential and strength and et cetera, will all kind of catch up. And I think that the research he's doing, the last study he did with DS, which was about lengthened partials, but actually showed just how small the differences are in different approaches. And the new study they're doing, which we're going to talk about later this year, it's bigger numbers than we've ever seen in exercise. And it's just, I believe, supporting what I'm trying to say, which is that these little things just don't make that much difference. And we'll see. I could be wrong, but I think it's going that way. But yeah,
Right.
historically, you're totally right. Studies are, full of errors because of small sample sizes, poor study design, measurement error. The list goes on, right?
And the information I'm giving you is based on a 150,000 session study.
Yeah, with some bias, I assume,
Can't
Pete.
compete with that. Well, so my study was for my money. Okay.
Stop
So
trying to plus one me.
it was important to me not to lose money. So if a client said, I don't want this, like, if you make my
Right.
thighs bigger, you're fired. Or if you make me grow out of my suit, my $800 suit, you're fired. Okay. So I need to, that's what it's based on.
Oh, I
It's,
totally, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you've said that before and I get it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I get that completely. And I would not be providing more volume if that was what I was hearing, even
right.
though I don't know if it'd make much difference. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. All right. So, that was some tangent. Okay. So yeah, we were talking about machines, just some of our opinions on that. Do you want to talk about barbells and dumbbells and other tools, other like free weight type stuff? Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, I love them. They've got a great use. Um, I'll give you an example. Tom Miller is a good friend of ours that opened up his brand new studio and his first ever high intensity training business down in Georgia. And we opened it up with 5 pieces of a brand new Imagine Strength, and he leased commercial space, which, by the way, he got an excellent deal on. The rent is so reasonable that I totally encourage this particular situation. So he's got a nice storefront, strip mall space, very professional looking. It doesn't look retail like. It looks more like there might be a doctor or an accountant next door versus a clothing store. So it's that type of strip mall. We chose low back, Imagine Strength, low back, leg press, pull down, chest press, and neck, 5 pieces. I'm 99% sure I got them.
5 pieces, is it? Does he have any free weights? I can't remember. He does,
Yeah.
no? Oh, that's what you're getting to. My apologies.
You know what I'm talking about, like the dumbbell block. So you have in his case, he has from 10 to 50 pounds with the movement of a pin all in one block and an adjustable bench. And I said, we can throw in a variety of dumbbell exercises to make a 6th exercise in your circuit. So you have a 6 exercise circuit and it can be anything: leg, push, pull, bicep, tricep, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're coming close to the mic there, Pete, because you were a little bit quiet in the beginning. We still got the gist of what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, he's such a good example actually of what you can do with like a really minimalist setup. Because I haven't spoke to Tom recently about how his studio's developed, but I don't think he's added anything really. And he's doing great, so that's awesome.
He is. He has enough space for, I think, 2 more pieces of
Okay.
Imagine Strength. I think he's interested in getting a row, an abdominal, possibly a rotary torso. I don't think he has any more space for anything more than that.
Mm.
Um, that would max him out. And then when he gets up to the sessions, his goal sessions, he could talk about doing a little more shopping. But in the meantime, he's got 5 pieces of equipment and then the dumbbell block and adjustable bench. He is capable of dozens of exercises and shaking up the order and messing with the protocol, and he's fine. He could do this for the next 20 years and not make it any more investment, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, fascinating. Any more thoughts about barbells and dumbbells? So I don't know whether you said this when you cut out a little bit, but in terms of brands, so like the Powerblock dumbbells, slightly more expensive, but have that kind of higher quality look. Nice. They come with like a nice pedestal and they scale very nicely from like, I only think about this in kilos. It's like 2 to like 50 kilos. So what's that like 4 to like 100 pounds. You can buy all the sets kind of, but it does cost like over $1,000 for like the full set. But then there's alternatives. So sorry, do you? Forgive me if I'm repeating what you're saying, but is there like thoughts about like what dumbbells to get, adjustable ones versus other options or whatever?
Well, remember, the most important thing here is we have to be economical and space
Hmm.
efficient. So for you to buy a gym rack of dumbbells from 5 to 70 is going to take up a whole entire wall. You don't have a whole entire
Yeah,
wall. You have
of
to
course.
devote it towards your equipment. So the dumbbell block takes up 2 feet by 2 feet. And you've got, there are multiple sets. There is they call it a sports set, which I believe is um, 2 kilos or 5 pounds to 25 pounds.
These are all the Powerblock brand, aren't they?
Oh,
Yeah,
Powerblock Powerblock is a name brand. There's also another company that makes the same product,
got it.
like Dick's Sporting Goods has their own version of it.
Is it
It's
commercial grade though? Because
it
that's a thing. Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't have to be commercial grade. No. So you're not gonna take a power block and put it in a commercial gym. That's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, I
You
meant
can't have
commercial
100
grade
people.
as in like it can just take the beating. You know, like if it's an
Yes, for
adjustable
one
one, it's
client at a time.
constantly being adjusted. Like, and it's like consumer grade. Like I've never used them, so I don't know. But I thought it might be more prone to breaking or whatever. Some
I have
adjustable
a
ones.
set I have a set that I have in my personal gym that I purchased in probably around 2000. So it's a 25-year-old set, looks brand new.
And these are like power blocks, but some other brand.
Yes,
Right. Can you
yes.
elaborate?
I You know what? I'd be happy to share, and I'll send you an email and a picture of them. They
Yeah, cool.
may be Power Block, but I'm pretty sure it's a different name brand.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'll send you a picture of. I just can't remember.
So what would be your advice then for people who are like, okay, I don't want to go and spend $1,000 on power block dumbbells, but I want something that looks good, that's durable. Like, are you still suggesting people go to, look at some of these? Yeah. What would be your advice there?
If it's a money issue, then you can get a couple of sets of nice rubber hex dumbbells, but you
Mm,
probably could find them used. You're gonna pick and choose just a few sets, so maybe fives, tens, 15s, and 20s, and stop there. Um, and you can get a stand that's a vertical stand where you could put these on. It'll look very tasteful. It'll look great in your studio, and you'll spend a couple $100. It's usually $1 to $2 per pound for weights, whether it's plates or dumbbells. So you're not going to get a tremendous deal. The power blocks are not that expensive. It's probably more in the $500 range for a decent set.
hmm For the like the baseline. Um,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts about bands, straps, little fit? I mean, personally, I don't like it. Personally, I like the clean look in the studio. I look at TJ's studio, Premier Strength. I look at Tom Miller, his studio. I just think I look at their studios and they're just clean. It's just like machines, dumbbells, maybe like one or two other things, but it all looks like, very clean and minimalist. And sometimes when I see lots of props and straps and bands, I just don't like the clutter it kind of gives off. Now I guess you can still have that stuff and you can have away in a nice box somewhere just to protect the aesthetic. But and also I like just simplicity in terms of the programming anyway. So how do you think about that? Do you when you're working with clients, coaching people, do you suggest other pieces? When I say pieces, I mean like props, tools that they can use with their clients? What's your general thinking and framework around that?
No, I stay away from that kind of stuff. I don't want my business to look like. I have nothing against the use of them. I think they're great tools. I mean,
Sure.
when I see people putting bands on a hack squat machine, and the hack squat machines are now designed for bands to deload you in the bottom.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I think it's great. That has nothing to do with my business and my clients and making money. It's just a completely different. So, do I like it? Yes. Am I a fan? Yes. Do I want it? Do I want a band in my business? Do I want a kettlebell in my business? No, because I don't want the client to associate anything with anything else. I don't want them to say, "Oh, I can get that at my gym for $25 a month." Why are you spending $125 for 15 minutes with me? You'll just go do it yourself. If they see bands, they could
Yeah.
associate that with their physical therapy, which, by the way, their insurance will pay for. They'll get a note from their doctor and they'll go there for 12 weeks and say, "I got shoulder pain. By the way, can you just give me a whole workout?" So I just don't want the competition. I don't want to associate with anything else. I don't want a Pilates machine. I don't want a yoga mat. I want what I do, and I want it to not look like anything else. So that's just me protecting my money.
Yeah. Any more thoughts about equipment?
No, start economical.
Yeah.
Um, you can always upgrade. Used equipment is definitely the way to go in the beginning if finances are an issue. if you really want to, we have a few friends that have done this. Mo in Florida, Tom Miller, TJ. They went with brand new Imagine Strength and brand new equipment, some Medix pieces, stuff like that. Yeah, if your finances allow and you really want to knock this out of the park in your home based business, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, if you're not sure and you really want to, you should grow the business first to see if this is working out for you. You want to start with this little overhead, little investment, and use the equipment at a great price. That will ensure success because you will not have the pressure of, oh my goodness, I just spent $50,000 and I hope this works. So
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Are you able to go over by about 5 minutes? We can cover insurance, and so is that okay? Insurance. Again, forgive me, guys, if we already touched on this in episode 1. We probably need to record these closer together because I can't recall if we talked about this much, Pete. So let's talk about insurance. What does one need in terms of insurance when they're operating their business?
I
Garage
got
gym.
in my commercial studio, in my commercial space, I got and encouraged all the trainers to get their own individual personal trainer policies.
Hmm.
They are dirt cheap. There was a company I remember that I used out of, it was called I think it was Philadelphia.com, but the letters were PHLY, I believe, something like that.com. Personal trainer liability insurance. I think it was $100 a year or something even cheaper than that. It gave you the basic coverage, whatever they recommended, which was $1 million. Is anybody ever going to, are you ever going to get sued? I would say probably not. It just doesn't happen. You don't see trainers now in a commercial gym. If you're working out of a big box gym and something can drop on your foot and, or you can unload a machine and kill somebody, you definitely want insurance. But when you're using all Medix equipment in a private studio or, something like that, what are the chances? Well, it's possible. I did get sued once and I didn't need my insurance and I won the case, which was on TV, by the way. So you can all look that up. But I always carry a personal trainer liability policy for pennies, and I encourage everybody to do it. It's just smart.
And obviously, check this in your. This is just for educational purposes only. We are not lawyers and professional insurers, actuaries, whatever you call them. And so check in your country or state, what the rules are, etc. But I don't believe that, at least in the US, and the UK and Ireland, because I know that, insurers require any specific certifications because, personal training is pretty unregulated, for good or bad. And that's the same the majority of people watching and listening to this are probably going to be in the US. Obviously, we have a worldwide audience, but it's probably the same in the US, right? In terms of, specific certifications aren't required for most insurance policies. Is that correct?
That's correct. Let me give you a specific. In New York, in the state of New York, and in New York City, because they're sometimes treated differently, but in both New York City and the entire state, a personal trainer is defined by the New York State Tax Code as, quote, a person who provides encouragement, end quote. And and I looked that up 30 years
That
ago.
means we both qualify, doesn't it, Pete?
It does. You know what? And the research shows, there is research out there that shows if somebody just literally stands there and watches you work out, you'll do a little bit better, right? Well, the New York State Tax Code defined a personal trainer this way. So you do not need a certification or a license or even insurance because you're just providing encouragement or supervising or speculating. And it's okay. Now, if you go beyond that, that's your choice. I just thought it was just smart to have the personal trainer liability policy and to have a certification. I just thought was a good idea, even though I didn't use either one.
Yeah. And just a couple of thoughts on this before we move on. So AI is really useful for this, guys, and I'm sure many of you are using it for stuff like this and similar things already. But just when you're using like ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or whatever, Just be really specific with your use case, and it will get you a really specific answer. So say, where you're located, the type of services you'll be providing, and you'll get listings that will come up that will be really um, specific to you. And it's probably far more accurate than like most traditional search engines. I will say though, if all of that said, please check with your local professionals and do your own research, right? And yeah, don't just go on what we're saying today. And let's just really give you some guidance. I have the next question for you, P. I'm not sure if this is something. Actually, you know what? We've had done so many podcasts together. I'm sure it's come up a lot, and I just can't remember. But I can't remember us talking about where does one acquire the skills to personally train someone, right? I know a lot of us, people in our community in high intensity business, people that are hit evangelists, enthusiasts, they're training themselves, they're training other people. Obviously, that's a great start to becoming a trainer. You learn so much through that. But what's your advice to people who maybe, okay, they've trained themselves, but they've never been a personal trainer, never trained anyone. What's your advice to people in terms of like how they learn the skills to train people? I've got my advice, but I'd love to hear what you do or what you suggest.
In the beginning, well, how did I figure it out? I'm an enthusiast, first and foremost. I think it was the age of 10, 11, or 12 when my father got me my first barbell set. And I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger in Newsweek magazine and asked my father, is that for real or is that a drawing? You know, that people really build their bodies that way. Wow, that's really interesting. And now I started reading and learning as much as I could, buying magazines, books, and I dove in. By the time I was 14 years old, there wasn't very much that I didn't know about what was currently available. Then I would go to the gyms and start working out with people and trying to find people I had tremendous experience and ask them questions and I learned. That's how I did it. So I was an enthusiast who was self-taught. Um, People go for certification courses. And I think that's a great way to go. If you have zero experience and zero information on this, it's not a bad idea to get certified. National Academy of Sports Medicine, NASM, is an excellent certification program. ISSA, International Sports Science Association, is a great one. And then, of course, I don't know the specifics on this one, but we have HITUNI, HITUNI, which is more specific to high intensity training certification, but teach you the basics of that. Of course, reading everything Arthur Jones, Mike Menser, Dorian Yates, especially Arthur Jones, Bulletin 1 and Bulletin 2. I think that's a certification in and of itself, just reading those publications. That's where it comes from. Now, that being said, I had the best success with when I was looking to expand my business and hire trainers. At first, I hired trainers who were experienced. They didn't work out that well. Then I went with people who had zero experience and they worked out great. And I just taught them what they needed to know. So that's what, if you're in that position where you're looking to expand your garage gym or your personal business or even your commercial business, I had the best success with those who didn't know what high intensity, never heard of it. And when you're selling it, when you're showing them for the first time, hey, this is what we can do. And they always have gym experience or yoga experience or Pilates experience. You mean you could do this all in 15 minutes once a week? Yes. Wow.
Mhm.
That's your trainer. That's who you want now. Yes. Let me show you how this works. And it's a wonderful way to go.
I think it's a great point for those listening who are looking to hire trainers, right? I think that it's always funny when I hear someone say to me like, "Oh, I want to find someone who's like read Body by Science," or is like us. I'm like, you realize like we are the outliers. Like we're a tiny minority, and you would be extremely fortunate to find someone who's, the shelves of their bedroom are lined with, Ken Hutchins and like Drew Bay and all this stuff. Um, and yeah, and the reality is that, you can teach anyone the way, right? Your way, your approach to high intensity training, and sometimes a blank canvas is ideal. So yeah, I think that's extremely liberating and opens up that pool of candidates. I thought you gave a great kind of overview of like certifications to go for. I'm obviously a big advocate of HIT Uni. That's the certification we tell everyone to go and do. I've done it myself. It's extremely effective and fun. It's the way that Simon and his wife and his team have built it out. It's very kind of satisfying to go through it and extremely productive. If you're interested, you can get 10% off with my code HIB, and there'll be a link in the description as well. Um, and I think that's the other reason I promote that course is because, like you said, it's bespoke to HIT. Then you actually get practical skills as well as the anatomy and physiology, biomechanics, business skills, how to do a consultation. You get some of that foundational stuff. Obviously, nothing is going to replace practice, right? Just training people. And I think that this dovetails really nicely with future episodes we're going to do where we talk about marketing and getting clients, because you've got a great approach in terms of asking people for a favor to come in so you can practice, show them the training. And obviously doing that, and you should really be inviting everyone you know. Forget your target market, just bring everyone in because it's practice, and practice will make you a better trainer who is better at retaining customers and giving them great experiences and generating referrals. And then just a quick question on NASM, which you mentioned, ISSA and ACE and ACSM. These are all the kind of more maybe well-known bodies. Um, I know, I don't know if Luke still follows this with Discover Strength, but they have kind of an approach where they will play the game and have trainers get those certifications, not because there's a lot of transfer to how they train people, although they do give a good, foundation and kind of like understanding of health and fitness, et cetera, and exercise. It's more about credibility, right? Even though our clients probably don't care that much or even know about these certifications, but then they will pair that with HIT Uni for like the more practical applications. So do you see those certifications the same way? Do you care about the social proof and credibility they provide, or is it more about a foundation in your mind?
No. And I mentioned National Academy of Sports Medicine first because they are a good certification program. I recognize them as an authority in the area,
Okay.
in our space. And for this reason, they were on board with strength training from day one. The American Council of Sports Medicine, ACSM,
Hmm.
American Council of Sports, ACSM, and ACE were not. As a matter of
Right.
fact, they frowned upon strength training. American ACSM wrote articles about how it was detrimental, and dancing and walking was healthier, and VO2 max. So if they've changed their mind over the years and gotten on board with us, I still remember when they didn't. So I discount them, and that's just me. If you have their credentials, good for you. I think that's great. I'm sure it will add value to your business. Um, I personally didn't see them. I took the ACE ACE course, which may have been IDEA originally. It was originally.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh, and may have been that when I took the course. And when I went to take the test, the first question was, who invented the skin caliper? And then I read through the rest of the test. There was not one question about a protocol or strength training or anything. And I'm like, this is garbage. And I handed it back. I'm like, you're not worthy of my time. So I would definitely look into a certification that relates to what you're all about. I was about strength training. So I read, anybody's material that related to that. The ISSA certification was originally founded by Dr. Fred Hatfield, who's a famous power lifter who's the first person to squat 1,000 pounds. Why is that important to my business? It's not, but he's a strength training guru. So he wrote about the certification was about strength training and powerlifting. So I thought that applied, and I thought that was worthy of my time. HIT Uni is specific. I will tell you that the bulk of my success is 100% credited to Dr. Ellington Darden, who has written 75 books to date, has written more about negative only and Arthur Jones protocols than anybody else in the whole world. And second to Dr. Darden, excuse me, would be Dr. Wayne Westcott, who I've read every one of his books. There is a wealth of information with both of these gentlemen. I still communicate and talk to Dr. Darden to this day. We have wonderful conversations. I still get stories out of him about Arthur Jones and training Casey, and some of the early workouts, getting still even little tiny tidbits and details on them. I think reading Dr. Dorn and talking to him for 5 minutes is better than a college education. He is it. You know why? Because Arthur's not around anymore.
Mm.
He's the voice that is carrying this forward. So that's just my opinion on how this is. And anybody who's watching your podcast, Lawrence, I would have to imagine has already read or familiarized themselves with much of this stuff. They're not in high intensity business podcasts without knowing who Mentor, Yates, Darden, Jones. They know all these names. So I think
Yeah.
they familiarize themselves and probably have done the workouts themselves.
Yeah, you would think that, and you're right. There's a lot of people like that, but there are still some people that miss me, and they're like, they don't feel confident, they don't feel like they can do it. And I just wrote a whole bunch of stuff down to really kind of like wrap this up. I think we'll go into pricing on the next one, Pete. To really just give people like a list of things, and feel free to edit this or add to it, Pete. But I just wrote down like the certifications we've already talked about, NASM, probably the main one, and Hit Uni, right, for more practical application. And then alongside that certification in terms of theory is, highly recommend Body by Science for the Body by Science question and answer book. It's amazing as well. You mentioned Arthur Jones bulletins, bulletin 1, bulletin 2, all Ellington Darden's books. I really like, I'm trying to find it in my stack, the New High Intensity Training by Ellington Darden. I
My
like,
absolute favorite book of his.
okay, great. I like Bill D. Simone's Joint Friendly Fitness. I've got Matt Brutsky's Practical Approach to Strength Training and Maximizing Your Training, which are also great. I'm looking at my
That's
stack,
awesome.
trying to not to miss anything.
Mm.
You've got obviously the super slow stuff by Ken Hutchins. You've got blogs like Drew Bay's blog is a really great resource. We've got stuff on highintensitybusiness.com. And then you got the podcast. If you go back, certainly a lot of our earlier podcasts, we've got a lot of practical stuff there in terms of like how to strength train and deal with injuries and train different populations and stuff like that. There'll be more coming. We have got more in the pipeline, more science-based stuff, updates, which I mentioned earlier about Dr. James Steele. Nothing replaces practice. I do think that's like the most important thing is obviously just training people, getting better, getting the reps in, shadowing people that are great. If you can go to local studios and actually shadow people that are already doing this, who are, in our space, ideally, then that's going to really accelerate your learning. Train them and have them train you, become a client. You can do this for both studio and virtual. There's some really great virtual strength trainers out there, and you can pay. I always would suggest paying for a service. Don't go for their free offer. Just pay for it because you're not necessarily looking to become a client, although you might be. You're more looking to learn. And then going to conferences. And obviously, we've got the Strength Forum in November. If you're interested in that, please join the free high intensity business community. There'll be a link below. It's what is it? School.com/HIB-free FREE. And when you're in there, I can give you all the details for the Strength Forum event happening in November this year, where you'll get to meet, Luke Carlson at Discover Strength, and you'll meet a lot of the top people in the high intensity training space. You get a workout, I believe, at Jim Flanagan's gym again, and where you'll just get a ton of learning crammed in there as well. So that's really the only conference I would recommend right now, because frankly, I don't know any other ones that I think would be really practical for trainers in our space, but there might be some. So that's my list of all the things that one can do to kind of ready themselves for training. I do think number one is like, just get practice, train your family, train your friends, read, get obsessed. The more learning you do, the more it will actually fuel your passion, the more you get into this. Pete, would you add anything to that list or edit anything?
No, not at all. That's a great list. That's a great way to go.
Cool. Awesome. Pete, love it. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for going over quite a bit, as we often do. Where are we sending people? We're going to tell them about the rep group on Facebook. What's it? Resistance Exercise Professionals. Is there a URL, or what do we say? Is that it? We just say
And
that?
Facebook Resistance Exercise Professionals, or REP.
Mhm.
You can find it's a great group of studio owners and high intensity trainers. And you can find me also on milliondollarcoach.com.
Perfect.
for my coaching services.
Yeah, and we'll link that up as well in the description below. And come join us in our free group if you're looking to start or grow your strength training business. Come and join me and Pete and lots of other cool dudes in score.com/HIB-free. There'll be a link below. And is there anything else? No, I think that's it. Pete, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. Looking forward to episode 3. And this is Lawrence with High Intensity Business. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you very soon.